with that. And then another thing, be willing to share yourself with others. Be vulnerable.
That's tough.
Okay,
That's
it
really
is.
tough.
But we are learning. We're on a journey.
I don't know how you tell a lawyer to be vulnerable.
Yep, that's for
We're
you.
wired to
That's
win.
for you, not me.
Yes. Then any other?
I think that's mostly it. But also another thing is maybe you find the thing that you're passionate about that you would like to talk about, rather than trying to pick something that you think is
know
important.
your stuff.
Yes. Or actually, rather than picking the thing that's the most important that's on Twitter, for example, find the things that are really passionate to you. You're passionate about leadership, about young people, about ethics, and that's what you're doing. Or rather than trying to find you in some corner talking about what high heels? I don't know. Tap dancing. We are going with that one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is fantastic, Precious. I want to say that it's been amazing listening to this, and I hope that our listeners out there have been edified, like I have. Before us, we have somebody who's written for different genres, even.
Yeah, different media,
audiences,
non-fiction,
different media.
fiction.
And she's now delving into different media as well,
Yes.
film. And we wish you all the best. We want to see you doing all those things in 10 years.
I will.
But the one thing that, before you go, we want to know, there's someone who has a question? Okay. Somebody has a question. Yes. Please give him a Paul? Is it Paul? Yes, please, Paul, speak up, please.
Yes, it's Paul. Thanks for the opportunity and also for the insights that we've been having. Personally, I would want to perhaps get some guidance in terms of merging the creativity, but also the creative side of writing with, of course, from my personal experience, with the professional sort of structured and demands and requirements that we in a professional environment sort of have to do or have to sort of get to. And speaking as a lawyer, you would find that most times there are constraints.
Yes, there are constraints that seek to kill your creative animal.
You can't almost.
Yes.
You almost can't put yourself. You can't put your version of expression. You can't.
Yes.
You're limited what you can and cannot do. So perhaps from an experienced writer, a published writer, how then are you? Maybe the law is a bit restrictive, but when you have to communicate perhaps to a serious or when there are actual consequences and the writing is depended on by other people, do we then have leeway to find a way of expressing ourselves within that, or would you advise that we just keep it the way it has been, the way it's structured? That's sort of my question or query.
Thank you, Paul. That's a loaded question, seeing as sometimes we're required to use precedents. So I think, that's a very serious dilemma for the average professional. I think even accountants have that problem sometimes.
Yes, and it also depends on the audience. You're addressing a judge or you're writing an annual report. There are constraints with limits. There are limits that I don't think that in that sense you're going to use creativity in the form of letting your imagination run wild. Okay, you're going to have restraints in that. I think that the way that you can bring in creativity is in what it is that you're choosing to, how you're choosing to speak or write about what it is, the methodology. Yeah. I think that there are even ways in which people write annual reports where they start from the end as opposed. They write what the outcome has been and then they kind of go backward. What they are trying to do, to explain. So what they are trying to do is just restructure the normal structure.
Yes.
Yes, and also I think that if it is written in the written form, there are so many different formats these days that you can use, which are also an expression of creativity, without necessarily throwing out the whole rule book and without kind of removing the facts from whatever it is that you're writing or what you're speaking about. Yes, do not start bringing unicorns into your writing about unicorns. You know,
they look nice.
They look nice, and I want to put them in my annual report because you do have a space. I mean, a format that you have to follow. If you're really trying to be extremely creative, you may have to find an outlet, a separate outlet.
Like do it in form of a PowerPoint and put your unicorns on the side.
Put it on the side.
But also, I've learned, Precious and Paul, that, for instance, even budgets, many times people present budgets without notes. And you find that if you're a creative person, you might want to break down the budget into explanatory notes, why we need an increment in this area, what happened before, why we didn't achieve this target. I think that there's actually a lot of room to be creative in some of these things. When you're doing submissions, yes, it might be a certain format. Maybe it's a notice of motion and it has to look a certain way. But there's a point at which you have annexures, you have affidavits. The good thing is your client is allowed to be a unicorn.
There you go.
So there's room for unicorns in court. I think that I personally, how I do it is I find those other channels that are allowed, like in form of annexures, or the form of presentation even of the report or of whatever you're doing. But Paul, that was a very brilliant question. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question? Let me check in our audience. How is our poll doing? Let's check our poll. Oh wow, it's growing. Oh, the lack of faith is increasing.
Lack of
David
faith.
Beckham is getting down to 57%.
Wait a second. They are voting for what they think is true or what they think is a lie?
Yes, they are voting for what they think is true.
Okay.
At first, all of them thought that you met David Beckham.
And now they're like, wait a second.
I think Victoria has been making some calls. So
And the unicorn has given me away.
the unicorn has given you away. So, 29% so far think you're releasing a short movie. On becoming, only 14% think that
I was a
you are a
consultant.
consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your last chance to let us know whether Precious met and delighted
I didn't
David
wink at
Beckham,
him.
or whether she's releasing a short movie, or whether she was a consultant on the novel Becoming by First Lady Michelle Obama. Lastly, as we close, we're going to get to the big reveal, but Balunji Jackie says the friendship between Fiona and Precious is giving me life. Thanks for staying connected long enough for us to profit from this Twitter space.
You have no idea.
Thank you, Jackie. It's not all roses. We don't see each other as often as we should.
It's okay. This is life.
But thank you so much. And Balunji says you gave yourself away with the movie. So for her, she's voting for the movie.
Right.
Although so far the votes don't reflect her thoughts. It's still about 29%. Ladies and gentlemen, is she having a short movie come out? Did she meet Beckham and make him smile? And was she a consultant on Michelle Obama's Becoming, the book? As we get to this, I want to ask, what is that one thing? You have somebody with a question? Oh, Paul, again, yes, Paul?
Yeah, thanks again. I'll keep it brief.
Yeah.
My other query was in terms of the day-to-day life that we live now. Almost everyone's a writer. We communicate perhaps more than we always texting and always tweeting and always, almost everyone who has a device is in a certain form communicating and writing, at least trying to put it to putting in some words.
Yes.
My own query was whether or how do you then separate that part of self, the constant, how do you separate that part from when you have then to perhaps make an article or perhaps make a submission, because it is now almost quite prevalent that that language or that lingo enters the mainstream,
Yes.
mainstream communication.
That is true.
So would you advise that should we just embrace it and just go with that, or in terms of structure and in terms of what we've been listening to, should we create a strict boundary? This goes here and then this can't go here. That's the challenge I'm facing, so perhaps I will ask for some guidance. Thanks.
Wow, I think that also goes to what Precious was talking about your persona, taking on a certain persona. I know that I have seen a lot of young, even lawyers, struggle with slang and writing because they have, this gangster language on Twitter with their violence. And then when it comes to formal writing, they are lost.
Yes.
So, and that goes back to the voice,
Yes.
the authenticity of the voice. Precious, please take it away.
Authenticity of the voice, yes, persona, but also understanding your audience. If you don't know who you're writing to, and for example, if you're looking for a job, there is a certain etiquette that has to be followed in every form of communication. I would hope that they teach, I don't know if they teach communication.
Speak about etiquette.
There is etiquette. And